Hello everybody. So today we're gonna start our new tutorials and we want to develop a web application using one of the most famous PHP frameworks, which is Laravel. Maybe you might wonder, what does a PHP framework mean? A framework is a platform where you can create web applications, and they provide code libraries for commonly used functions, and they help you to cut down the amount of original code you need to write. So instead of using core PHP, like developing the code on your own, these frameworks help you to have already created codes for you. Let's say a login code, a dashboard, and other necessary libraries which are available on the framework. So why should we use a PHP framework? There are good reasons for using PHP frameworks as opposed to coding from scratch. Of course, it's good to start your code from scratch, but when you're using a PHP framework, you will have to assure yourself that your development is going to be faster. So you have faster development, because these PHP frameworks have built-in libraries and tools. So the time required for you to develop a web application is less. For example, when we are using Cake PHP framework, it has the bake command line tool, which can quickly create any skeleton code that you need in your application. So several popular PHP frameworks have PHP unit library, which is integrated for easy testing. We're gonna see this also in Laravel. And when you're using a framework, you have less code to write. So using functions that are built in to the framework means that you don't need to write so much original code. And also another benefit of using these frameworks is that the libraries which are there, they are for common tasks. So many tasks that developers will need to do within web applications are common ones, like validation, data sanitization, and CRUD operations like create, read, update, and delete. So rather than having to write your own functions for these tasks, you can simply use the ones that are part of the framework. And also another important benefit when it comes to using PHP frameworks, they follow good coding practices, because they provide code neatly into a number of directories according to functions. And we're going to see this when we are having an overview with regards to Laravel. So they force you to organize code in a cleaner, neater, and more maintainable way, unlike using your own PHP, whether you are using OOP or you are using procedural. Sometimes it doesn't look clean. But when it comes to frameworks, they will organize your code in a cleaner and neater way. And also, when it comes to frameworks, you'll find out that they are more secure than writing your own applications. So there are many PHP security threats on the internet, including cross-site scripting. The common ones are also SQL injection attacks and cross-site request forgery. So unlike you taking the right steps to secure your code, the frameworks do that for you. Because when you're using your own code, you are assured that your web apps will be vulnerable. So using a PHP framework is not a substitute for writing secure code, but it minimizes the chance of hacker exploits. So good frameworks have data sanitization, built in and defenses against the common threats mentioned earlier. And also, when you want to collaborate with teams, assuming that you are developing your web applications with other members within your team, there is better teamwork when you are using frameworks. So projects with multiple developers can go wrong if there isn't clarity on documentation, design decisions, and code standards. All right. So using a framework, it sets clear ground rules for your project. So that's another benefit. And also, when you look into these frameworks, they are easier to maintain because they encourage refactoring of code and promote dry development. When you're talking about dry development, we mean don't repeat yourself. Dry, don't repeat yourself. So the resulting learner code base needs less maintenance. All right. So as we have said, that there are a number of PHP frameworks out there, and the most common ones, I'll mention about 10. But when you go on, website, when you go, let's say, on Wikipedia, you will get a list of about 40 PHP frameworks. But the most common ones, which are available, we have got Laravel, we have got Symfony, there's CodeIgniter, there is Laminas Project or Zend Framework. Then you have got Yi or Yai, but it's somehow Chinese or Japanese, but it's another framework. And then we have got Cake PHP, and then we have got Slim or Slime. Then there is Falcon, there is Fio PHP, and on the top 10, we have Fat-Free Framework. So these 10 frameworks, they are the most common ones, which are widely used across the globe. But the most top one, or the one which is on top, which has got a lot of community, is Laravel. That's why we want to learn it, and we want to master it so that we can switch from using normal PHP or OOP, or I would say procedural PHP, to this framework, which will simplify our work. I used to write my own code, by the way, and my code was faster, but I had issues to do with security. So I was frustrated most of the times when I develop a code and then uploading it online, SQL injections, they were all behind my back. So I searched on the web because I didn't want to switch from PHP to another language, because there is this, I think a lot of people, they say that it's a popular belief that PHP is dead, right? Is not to be used anymore. We have got these other languages, but trust me, PHP is still widely used by big names such as Facebook as well as Wikipedia. So it's a language which you can still use in 2024, and you can even create bigger projects based on this language. And you might see that a lot of management systems, the majority of them have been developed using Laravel, and others on CodeIgniter. So it's widely used, and you'll find out that around 79% of all the websites are using PHP. So PHP is one among the top 10 programming languages for web applications. So you can choose a framework so that you simplify your task. Now, let's dwell into our focus, which is Laravel. So Laravel, as you can see, is a web application framework with expressive, elegant syntax. So they say that we have already laid the foundation, freeing you to create without sweating the small things. So it's very amazing that we have this framework. Now, if you want to know more about Laravel, we have the documentation section here. So you can click Get Started, or you can go to documentation, or you can also go to this Laracast, where there is some sort of podcast, some sort of discussions on this framework. So if you can visit this website, you will get a lot of information from the community. All right. So there are a lot of topics which you can delve into and learn from the Rala community, Laravel community. All right. So if we click on Get Started, it will take us to this page. So the first thing which you are going to see is the version. So we are currently in version 11. So point X, it means point something. So I'm sure that we are in 0.11. So 11.11, that's the current version of Laravel. You can use 10 point something or you can use 9, but these older ones, there are issues to do with how the code was structured. And if you can compare the structure of Laravel 10 and the structure of Laravel 11, you see that Laravel 11 is much more improved. The skeleton is not as cumbersome as it was in Laravel 10. So we are going to dwell into Laravel 11. If you want to learn more about Laravel 10, then you can visit other channels and you can learn. But here we are going to focus more on this one because that's where the community is currently putting much of their efforts. So we should also try to move with them and learn from the community out there. So if you look into your left side, which is the panel or the menu, there are a lot of elements. So under Getting Started, you'll see installation, configuration, directory structure, front end, starter kits, deployment. So we will, in this episode, we'll just install our project to get ready for I would say for development, because you cannot develop a Laravel application on your own. You will just have to install it, and the skeleton is going to be available for you. So the first thing which you have to do in your local machine or in your PC is to install Composer. All right, you will go to getcomposer.org and then you download Composer, which is here. It's a setup. You can run it on Windows. If you are using other operating systems, I'm sure there is a guide to that. But for Windows users, I think you can click on this link and then you are going to download the latest version, which is 2.7.7. So if I can open my command prompt and then I type Composer to see which version am I using, right? Because I've already installed it, so you have to do the same. You install it, so Composer version, and then when I hit enter to show the version which I'm currently using. So the version which I'm using is 2.7.6. all right, and the current one is 2.7.7. so you can do like an update. So you can do Composer update so that you have the current version. All right, so once you've installed Composer, you should also make sure to install Git. So the current version is 2.5.2, and once you have done that, we can go back now. Once you have installed Composer and you have also installed Git, we can go back now to our installation procedures or to our installation steps. So the first step under installation is to create our project. All right, so as you can see, we are using Composer, create project, and then Laravel, and then this is the name of our application. All right, So there is another way which you can use, which is Composer Laravel new. I think it's something like that. So I think I can open this folder. I've already created a folder so that I will save the project inside it. You can save it in your local disk D, or you can save it in your flash drive, or even in your external hard drive. As long as you have plugged it in when you want to develop it, there's nothing wrong with it. So this is the goodness with using Laravel. So what you do next is to open your terminal. All right, you can use Windows PowerShell, or you can use Git as per your preferences. All right, so you can use Git, or you can use this one. So let's use the default one. All right, so first thing is to write Composer. All right, Composer. So Composer what? As you can see here, it's Composer, Composer create project Laravel, and then /Laravel. So we are going to copy this, and then we paste here. So Composer create project Laravel. So what is the name of our project? I will name this project as YouTube YT11. So YT11, so meaning YouTube Laravel 11. So once you are done with writing the name of your project, you can hit enter to confirm, so that it starts installing your project. So if I can open this folder, and then if I refresh it, you see this one, YT11. So it means it has started to install the project for me. So it will do all the necessary installations, and what you're going to do is just to wait while it's installing our project. So as you can see, it has installed. We talked about it earlier, that it has PHP unit for testing. There's also Symfony, which is also integrated into Laravel, and those other libraries, or I would say tools for easy development. So you can wait. So as you can see, it has installed 48 packages. So 48 package suggestions were added by new dependencies. And what's next is generating optimized autoload files. So I think this takes about 2 to 3 minutes. So maybe we can pause the video and come back later once the files have been optimized. So as you can see, it's still optimizing the autoload files. So it takes a little bit of time, but you can see Laravel 11.1.1, but the framework which we will be using, the version of it is 11.11.1. So you can see it, I think somewhere. Okay, so it has also finished it has finished the optimization, and from there it did some migration. So it's creating migration tables, and then this was done. Now I think the other steps, we are going to see them later on, but let's run it and see whether the project has been successfully installed or not. So we do cd. Cd means we want to enter into the directory. Remember, our directory is YT11 because in this directory there's nothing which we can run, but inside this directory is where we will get our files. So we want to run inside this directory. So what we do is we write cd and then we say YT, right? YT11, and then we enter. So you can see there's a difference in the first line there. We were in YouTube lessons, but now we are inside YT11. So we have entered into this folder and we have also entered into this folder, meaning we are inside YT11. So from there, what we do is we run the composer. We want to run PHP Artisan. All right. So we type PHP Artisan. So if you can go to our documentation, or I would say the steps of installation. Once we have done cd and then YT11, we have to run PHP Artisan save. So PHP Artisan save means we want to start the Artisan development server. So the Artisan development server should be run. Now once we hit enter, it has to bring this. Once it brings this, it means you have successfully installed your application and there are no errors. But if the errors are there, you will see something different from this. So you hold Control on your keyboard and then you click on this link. So it will tell you that the link is invalid. I think it's because, but we can just copy it. All right, you can just copy it. We copy it. And then we can go to this and we paste it. We hit enter. So once we have done that, you will see that we are running our applications. We are running our application, and you will see the version of Laravel here. So Laravel version 11.1.1.0, and the PHP version which I'm using is the current one, which is 8.2.12 as of June 2024. So that's it for now. I think we can meet in the next lesson and see what other things we can add to this project, because we will have to have like login, register, some sort of authentication libraries. So see you in the next episode. Thank you very much.